There was a 2005 novel, The Island, a bestseller by Victoria Hislop, that was set on the island of Spinalonga. This was a former leper colony, a small island off the coast of Crete. I want to share with you some of my photography today of my recent visit to Spinalonga. Hi, I'm John of Figurative Arc. Welcome to my channel. I am a visual artist, and I hope you will consider liking and subscribing if you find this valuable. Here's a map of Crete, and you can see where the small island of Spinalonga is located. Let's kind of look into this journey. Now, when I approach Spinalonga, one of the things that you probably will stop by is the coastal town of Agos Nikolos, which is Greek for St. Nicholas, who's the patron saint of Greece. And then you take a ferry out, and this is Spinalonga that you're seeing here. Used to be a Venetian fortress back in 1584 when the Venetians were on the scene. And there's a pathway and stairs that you can go both higher up into some of the buildings and one that's a little more accessible and flat. And leprosy had a lot of stigma back in the day. There was an order that people with leprosy had to go to this colony that was on Spinalonga. You can see some images here again of some of the pathways, some of the buildings, some of the views. But people with leprosy, when they first came out there, they didn't have a choice. They had to be relocated there. There was really no medical care at the beginning. Then later on, particularly in 1936, there was an organization called the Brotherhood of the Sick, where they began to organize the residents. They also built, shortly after that, a path and perimeter that was handicap accessible around the island. And there was a slow move over time to end the leper hospitals in Greece. The isolation order was rescinded in 1955. But you can see the views here from some of the old structures. Here I am standing in one that's looking out to the mainland from the island. And just imagine what this was like for people who had to leave their families, their children. And someone asked me, did you feel sad or depressed after leaving a place like this where there was a lot of suffering? And actually it made me just think about, especially when they started to organize, just the resiliency of people, and thinking about, who in my own life may be looking out of a window and feel trapped, that no one sees them. Maybe it's a medical condition, maybe it's their mental health. And so I just started thinking about who's around me today that I might want to reach out to me. That was kind of the impact. Anytime I go to places that are historical or a different thing, it always leaves me with something to consider. How am I changed by this? Not just, well, this was kind of interesting, but how did it affect me? And how can it make a difference in my real life? That was, I think, one of the reasons why I wanted to go there. And I'd be interested in hearing your comments, what you thought about what I said, some of the images, thinking about people with leprosy that were ostracized and sent here against their will, and who around you might feel isolated right now that may need help. What is the modern form of leprosy today that has a lot of social stigma? So if you feel moved by that, feel free to leave the comments again below. Until next time, I hope to see you again. Until then, toodaloo.